Hey, we're here. Remove the tomato. Bring on the big tomato. So, what do you think? Pro. What does pro mean to you? Proactive, procrastination, professional, pro. Can't think of another one. Maybe we should use notes. You got to check this the board over here, right? I mean, I actually do have a whiteboard. It's up on the side. Well, it's on the side. The rest of the stuff. So, what do you think? Let's see if we can tilt this down a little bit. We got a new setup here. Right? Let's go with that. We lower it just a little bit more, little bit more. Oh, didn't lower it by too much, did it? There we go. Well, maybe. Tilt it down. There we go. We skipped the helmet. I don't know. Sit off to the side. Does it look a little bit more professional that way? Hey, that's being proactive, is it not? What if I just stayed the same place all the time and never moved? Well, it's just stuck. That's just flat out stuck. My favorite story about being stuck is that, like that, nobody wants to change anything. The water cooler. Where's the water cooler? It's over there. Why don't we move it? Why not? Oh, it's always been there. You should not move the water cooler. It's always been there. Let the water cooler remain. It's like, wait a second now. If we never move the water cooler, what do we ever change? Nothing. That's this whole world about being proactive. What are we changing? We're not changing enough. That's right. Actually, my humble opinion, with all this stuff that's going on, and there's another shooting every day. Is another shooting. This is the LGBTQ community. Then there was this other one, this other killing too, where a relative killed three other relatives in a household. It's like, what is going on? What really is going on? I personally think, with so much of this stuff, is that we're not being proactive in the right categories. Yeah, it's been on top of my mind. That's been my definitely on top of my mind because there's so many things that are going on. It's just like it's such. Can it be corrected? Can it be corrected? Right? And the question or the answer is forget the question. In my opinion, as obviously my opinion, since I'm the one yakking away about the whole thing, is that the answer is yes. There's a lot of things that can be corrected. There's a lot of things that can be fixed. There's a lot of things that can be done if we do it proactive. Do we have to be professional about it? Well, you can't be an idiot about it, but I don't think we're going to know all the answers. If we take that water cooler and we move it from the left side of the room to the right side of the room, what does it really mean? Well, it means maybe the cups are not going to be in the right place. Oh, maybe the cups are attached to it. If they're not, they should be. Or maybe it's going to ruin the traffic flow as people come through. It's going to change it up a little bit. That might not be good. It might not be. But there's only one way to find out. Move the water cooler. Move the water cooler. Move it. Do the balance in there. See if it's going to be a safety issue. If it's really a safety issue and it's going to be way too destructive, then maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe we should be proactive and plan a little bit about that. Well, if we move it here, let's move it on the weekend. There's fewer people. We get to see what's going on. Or let's sit down and create a board to go and discuss this thing and to see what happens if that goes and what different people's opinion are. And actually use listening skills. Hey, now that's something to be proactive about. Use people's listening skills and come up with different ideas about that. And maybe we should turn our water cooler into a refrigerator. That would be a good idea. No more paper cups, too, and the rest of that stuff. We could put it someplace different. That might be the answer. But unless we start to take some sort of action, unless we do something, unless we start to move forward in some way, shape, or form, we'll never know, and we'll be stuck with the water cooler on the left-hand side of the room. That's not good. And maybe I need to be more proactive with that story too. I don't remember the last time I actually saw a water cooler. It seems like everything's a refrigerator. But you get the point? You get the point? If we never change anything, we never do anything differently, we'll never do anything, we'll never learn. There's that definition of insanity is doing the same thing time and time and time again and never changing and then think we're going to get a different outcome. We're not. We won't. It just will not happen. It will not be. Can't be. I personally think this world of politics is exactly that. It is just nothing but my side says this, your side says that, and all we're going to do is find fault with you, and you're going to find fault with me, and I'm going to find fault with you. Hey, but if you find that big of a fault, I'm going to find a bigger fault. And that's what we're going to talk about, the faults with each other. When does it end? When does it end? When do we come up with some sort of a solution to what's really going on today in most of our lives? When is that going to happen? Good question. But let's go back to the other side of it where we started on this whole thing. What about what's going on in the public? Why is there so many shootings? What mass shootings? Forget about the one-on-one shootings. That's a whole nother something. Don't know. Heck, I'm not a professional on the rest of this stuff either, but I can tell you I have an opinion. And that opinion is that it's happening way too much. Why? Well, maybe we're covering it in the news way too much and making those people, although I think we've making those scenarios something spectacular. We're giving somebody notoriety for some of those things. It's like, that's not good. Maybe we shouldn't report it at all. I don't know if that's really the case either, but something. But all of a sudden we have more shootings. We know about more shootings time and time and time again. Big shootings. Big. It's not good. Mass murders and stuff like that. Not good. Why? Because we're not incarcerating enough people? Okay, that might be an answer. But if we put more and more people in jail, are we fixing the problem? Or are we just putting more and more people in jail? What if we got more proactive? This is something I think we should do, and start invading people's privacies. Yes, invading people's privacies. You start putting all kinds of hate messages out over there. I mean, real hate messages out there on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, wherever. I don't know, TikTok. I don't know where you're putting them, but you're putting them in all those things. And then we do nothing about it? Why? Because we might hurt someone's feelings, or we might invade somebody's privacy, or we might go too far and take away some of their inalienable rights of freedom of speech. Bull. There's a line in the sand here with this freedom of speech. Maybe we need to move that line in the sand. You can't go into a movie theater and yell fire, stuff like that. Okay, that's understood, right? Oh, yeah, sure, of course. Well, maybe the same thing should hold true, is that you can't come on social media and say, I'm going to go shoot something up and not have some repercussions with it. Why are we not doing something about that? We can't find it? Oh, we can find it. Trust me, we can find it. I mentioned exercise equipment. Watch this. I just said that. Exercise equipment. I guarantee you, in another couple of hours, I'm going to get ads for exercise equipment. Oh, they're listening, my friends. Big Brother is listening. That's without a doubt. So they know. They absolutely know. Hey, everybody, afternoon. There is no invasion of privacy. Like, I got privacy? I don't have privacy. Nor do you either. Yeah, how much do you put on your credit card? Oh, just about everything. Okay. They know. Those people, they know. Easy Pass, stuff like that, they know. It's not even Easy Pass anymore. Forget that. Is it you go over a bridge? I went away. I didn't have my Easy Pass. I couldn't find my stupid Easy Pass thing, right? They're like, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. What does that mean? That means New York State knows. No. And I registered the plate and all the rest of that stuff. But, so I tied it with the Easy Pass thing. So they were actually very good about that. But I went over a bridge. I went over a couple of bridges, whatever it was, go through tolls. They take photos of my car. They took photos of the license plate. I got the bill within 3 days. Well, they're watching. So where is that? Where is the privacy level? It's not. It's not. So you want to track everything I do? And I like to think I'm going to, a citizen, in good standing and all that sort of stuff. But what about the folks that are not? Why don't we do something? What about our students that are in school that are having issues with stuff, that are getting bullied, or those that are doing the bullying? Now maybe we're getting down to the root cause of the whole thing. We can't do anything because the parents are going to say something. Oh no, not my little Johnny, not my little Jill, not my little whatever, my little prince or princess. That can't be. Well, maybe it is. Maybe something needs to happen over there. Maybe we do need to be proactive in that respect. Maybe we can actually keep going back a little bit further on that one. Why is that person bullying? Why is that person a bully? Why? I don't think you can really ask why someone's being bullied. Why? Because they're a little bit different than the bullier. Is that a word? Bullier? Nobody's told me it's not a word. It's a word. Bullier. Bullier. But why? Why is that person doing that? Let's go ask questions. Oh, wait, you can't ask questions? Bully, you can't ask questions. You certainly can't ask questions. We want to make schools a safe place for our students to go to. That's a good idea. Make these schools a safe place for students to learn. That's a good idea. Make these schools a place for creativity, not for being scared of whatever their fellow students might be, or having to watch a guard go walking down the hallway with, heavily armed to protect the students. You know what? If we do that, and we do that with society, just like somebody gets arrested, all right, then they go to jail. Fine, I get that. I mean, that should be. I don't believe in this no bail or anything like that. They should go to jail. But if we just keep arresting and arresting and arresting people and throwing them away in jail, and that's it, and then all of a sudden that recidivism rate, is pretty high, and then they just fall into becoming a career criminal. Well, what are we doing there? We're not fixing the problem. We're just arresting people and making the problem go someplace else, sweeping it under the rug, I guess you could say. It is. We just keep arresting people. All right. Well, if we have bullies in schools, if we have bullies in kids in businesses also, yeah, adults. Yeah, some of you fall into that category. It's like, don't you get it? We're all supposed to be operating as a team over here. But if what we do is push those people aside and don't do anything, what are we fixing? Nothing. Nothing. This is when we need to really put those pros together here and be professional and be proactive and don't procrastinate about the problem, but actually do something about the problem. And what that problem is that maybe the problem is that people just don't know what they're working for. Maybe they're so pissed off at everything that's going on, or maybe they're following the lead of many of our politicians and the stuff they see on the news and these video games. I'll throw that into a category also. But if you collectively put the whole thing together, I don't think we're doing the right thing here. Even TV shows, more and more violent they are, the more and more we watch them. Video games, the more and more violent they are, the better their sales are. Even football games, sports games, all the rest of that stuff. I'll put it out there. I'm a fan of NASCAR, but it's become a crash fest. How do you pass somebody? Because you're better than them. You pass them on the inside or the outside. Maybe give them a little tap, rub against the cars, that kind of thing. Kind of push around a little bit to go, nah, let's just wreck them. Well, come on. Come on, really? That's the answer? Really, is that the answer? Just beating up somebody to get what you want? What about just competing, flat out competing? Sports, the rest of the sports, drugs, taking steroids, still a problem. Happens, still hearing stories about that with the Olympics and everything else that's going on there, right? Cheating, come on, really? Enough. Enough is enough. Because our students are seeing this. Our younger generation is seeing this. How do you get ahead? Cheat. Oh. How do you communicate? Yell. Oh. How do you fix a problem? Shoot. That's not an answer. That is definitely not an answer. So where is the root cause of all of this stuff? What is it? What is it truly that we could do, and I mean you and I, that we could really do to kind of help things move forward in a more positive light? There are things. And the sad part is it may not be popular, but there are things, you know, that we could certainly do. One, we can let's minimize wherever possible this whole idea of all this news out on the TVs being negative. My guess is neither you nor I own one of these TV stations or anything like that, but you know, maybe we could highlight our own good news and do that. You see a good news story on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you watch it, or Patch has got a lot of local stories. All right, your local Patch, you could share that stuff. Share that stuff. Share that stuff. Share those good stories about some high school swim team, cheerleading team doing well. Hey, that's great stuff. Share some news about some local business that gets opened up. Hey, that's great stuff. Eric Alexander does that with Vision Long Island. He does a show, weekly show. He highlights the downtown areas, talks about what's going on in those areas. I went to a meeting with the Suffolk County Alliance of Chambers. Town of Brookhaven wants to revitalize downtown areas, revitalize some of these buildings, rebuild some of the buildings, these empty, vacant buildings that are there. Let's talk about that stuff. Let's talk about how the mall, the Smith Haven Mall, is getting a new medical practice that's coming in there in the old Sears building. Let's not focus on the fact that Sears is, gone. Maybe we focus on the fact that malls are changing, totally adapting, and they're changing to stuff that's new. Our schools, our students. Look, I've heard from a couple of younger generation people, and not even, I'm not talking 10-year-olds here. I'm not even talking teenagers, I'm talking a little older than that too. It's like, that are dismayed. Dismayed. I'm going to use that word dismayed, about careers. Here they are. They've gone to college. They've accumulated this debt, but they got that degree they wanted, degree in a business, in an industry that they really wanted to focus on, and now they can't find a job that way. And now they're still sitting with that debt. And how long does that debt last for? I bet you to say many of them don't even know. And it's not because they're ignorant, it's because nobody ever taught them. Nobody ever taught them. Do you remember in high school or junior high, even college, ever being told what the minimum payment on a credit card does? I gotta tell you, it does nothing. It does nothing. That remains forever. What's the difference between good debt and bad debt? I guess it depends upon the asset that's behind it. Were you ever told about that? Did they ever teach that? You ever teach any of that kind of stuff? What's a credit card, mortgage, all that kind of thing? How to balance a checkbook? Well, I haven't written a check in a long time, but the point is, we still have checking accounts or bank accounts, call it what you will, and everything else that goes along with the world of finance. Is any of that ever taught in schools? Oh, and if you were taught that, hey, congratulations, you're in a minority with that. But no, it's not taught. It should be taught. You know what else is not taught? And this is the thing that I harp on, quite a bit. And this is kind of the driving my why. A lot of stuff I do on that outward side of things. With it's one of the reasons why I do, outward side of things. So here's what I think overall, and this may address the bullying side of things. It may address some of these reasons why people go, and go shooting up and hate different groups of people, because maybe they just see that, hey, that person's got it better than me, and the only way I know how to beat that person down is to beat that person down. But they get a little older. Oh, now they go out and buy a gun. Hey, that group is succeeding. You know what? I don't like that group. They're different than me. They may be more successful than me, or they may get more opportunities, or maybe they're being favored because of something that's gone on in the past. And all of a sudden, it's like, boom, you go in there, they go out and buy a gun, and all of a sudden, it's a shoot 'em up thing, right? Or they get inspired by some movie someplace. Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff. But if we go back, crazy idea. I'm going to end on this crazy. Oh, I got eight. Here we go. I'm going to end on this crazy idea. I got 8 minutes for crazy idea there. Hey, Devin, Ann, how you doing, man? It's been a while. Doug, pleasure. Karen, my wife, and the rest of the team. Always good to always good to see you. And an interesting comment in there. We'll see if we can get rid of that one. But here's the crazy idea. What if we spent a little bit more time going into these schools, elementary, junior high, high schools, and high schools? What if we went in there and started speaking to those students about our stories? The good stories, the bad stories, whatever it is those stories are. And what we learned from those stories, where we've gone wrong, what we could have changed, and what is possible. Real life conversations with those students, right? Real life conversations with those students. And here's the purpose of it. Not for you to become the speaker inside of a school and do the rest of that stuff. Granted, I do some of these career days. It feels good to do that whole thing. Okay, I give you there's that balance in life. Makes me feel good that I did the whole thing. But what's the purpose of it? What's the purpose of going in there and speaking to these students about you, about your story, about what is gone on in your life and what is possible? It's to make them think. Not think about some bullying thing and not anything like that, but think about what they could do with their careers, what they could do with their lives. Granted, I spoke to a bunch of fourth graders. I was not going there and talking to them about their careers, but I was talking to them about what they could do with their lives, only because they brought it up. Boy, was that a learning experience for me, never expected. But anytime you get an opportunity to speak to those students, you get a chance to make those students think about what they can accomplish in their lives, regardless of wherever they're at. And I know some places here are much more challenging than others because they don't have the resources that they need. That creates an opportunity, right? Maybe it's time we move that water cooler around a little bit too, to make sure all these schools, especially, the junior high, high school, or anything of those grade schools, get the resources that they need. But if we could speak to those students about what they can accomplish by sharing the stuff that either we've accomplished or we've screwed up at or whatever. But if we can get them to think about the fact that they have a whole world in front of them, a good world in front of them. If we could speak to those students about what they can do from a career standpoint, hey, that would be great. But here's what's really, really good. Because if you could really effectively get those students to think about what it is that they are inherently good at doing, that God-given ability. And I think all of us have got some given ability. How in the world that works, beyond me. Depends. You go speak to your own either religious institution. You could speak to your Napoleon Hill law of attraction. You could speak to whatever you want to speak to. Speak to whatever that is. But if we could speak to these students, and get them to think about what it is that they're inherently good at doing, something that they're really interested in doing, something is that they would like to really pursue. There's a career in there. There's very few things. I wouldn't even know what it would be. Whereas, oh no, you really can't make a living out of that. That's crap. I think if you're really good at something, you can make a living at anything, right? Entrepreneurs to come up with stuff I never even thought of. Fantastic. Technology. I mean, you take a look at this, this smartphone. My phone, I bought it 4 years ago. It's out of date already. Needs to be upgraded. 10 years ago, never even thought about doing video. Oh, no, you can't do video. It was only audio. You only did blog talk radio 10 years ago. You need a whole camera equipment. You need all this kind of stuff. Now, This thing I got here, Logitech thing's $120, $125, whatever. I'm doing this. StreamYard, it's $20 a month. That's it. Easy to do. Easy to do. You don't even need a studio. Nothing. You can do this thing. But why? It's because technology changes. Where is this going to be in 10 years? Beats the heck out of me. I'm sure it's going to be easier and better. Where is the auto industry going to be in 10 years? Beats the heck out of me. I'm sure it's going to be better. Television, channels, computer, entertainment, pictures on a wall. I tend to think it's all going to be like holograph images and stuff like that. Static pictures probably change up quite a bit. Across the board, everything will change up quite a bit. Homes, most of our homes are made out of either wood, concrete, steel, whatever it is. They're going to become much, much more interactive with who we are and what we're doing. Everything is going to be. Who's going to think about? Who's going to come up with all of these changes? Me? No way. No way. I still rake my leaves with a rake. Same old, same old. There's my water cooler thing. Just keep on raking them up. Who's going to come up with a better idea? Somebody will. My wife will, as soon as I get done. She'll come up with a better idea. Hire somebody. Don't do it yourself. That's an idea. But everything is going to change. Everything that we do is going to change. 10 years, 15 years. You speak to a student that's in junior high, by the time they get done with high school and go on to a higher learning place, not necessarily college. It could be certification in something and doing something like that. Maybe they go into computer school. That may not be a college. That might be a completely focused thing. But you know why it may make sense to them? Because they've been in some program inside of school and some computer club inside of school, or an entrepreneur club inside of school, or a public speaking club inside of school. And they find that is absolutely what they want to do. So they're going to learn how to be effective on, I would say, radio, TV, internet TV, whatever the heck it's called, at that point in time. Maybe they're going to go into computers, IT, whatever that might be, creating holographic images. I don't know. But here's what I do know. I will end on this note. Here is what I do know. James Martinez. Mr. Martinez come up with some creative stuff. Always does. You should be a teenager again, my friend. Here's what I do know. Is that we have an opportunity, and I think it's some sort of an obligation to, when we get that moment where we could go in and speak to a junior high or a high school on their career days, do it. Do it. You get a chance. You got a kid in school, you know what? They want to have a parent come in and talk about what's going on. Do it. Definitely do it. You could change the world for people, and those people could change the world. You want to start changing the overall picture of what's going on? Share the good news. Share the good news that's out there. There's a lot of it. We could do a lot more. That's going to be tough to do, but we can do that. But your biggest impact, the biggest thing you could be proactive with, is speaking to students, because those will be the ones that will change the world as that goes. Those will be the ones that learn about getting along and being happy with other people and seeing the best in other people, not the worst in other people. And those are the ones that, if they have a positive outlook, if they believe that they're striving to achieve something, if they believe that tomorrow will be better than today, and next year will be better than this year, and that they will continue to grow, they may just ignore some of the other stuff that's going on and push that aside and then continue forward. That may be the biggest impact in the world that there possibly can be. That's up to you. And you know what you need to do? It's pretty darn simple. You need to speak well. You need to speak often. And you need to live inspired and share that with other people. And I hope you do. Keep on sharing, my friends. You can change the world. You can make everything better. May just take our next generation or so in order to implement it, but you can get the thing started. Let's get that momentum going. Have yourself an incredible day.